Well, hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. I'm joined as ever with John C. Walsh, not Riley.
Yes.
And I'm not Steve Coogan, I'm Stephen J. McLaughlin. Give us full titles here since it's Thursday. John, yep, we're back together again. We're not doing solo shows like last night. You did very well. Tuned in. Set a few records straight as well with a few comments that have been coming our way lately.
Yes, we know nothing.
Yeah, we know nothing. We know nothing. But anyway,
never proclaim to know anything.
John, there's a little film coming out. You might have heard about it.
Yes.
Over the last 3 years, called The New Mutants. Well,
yes.
The first review has come in, and it's calling it a generic superhero film now. The first review for the highly anticipated and repeatedly delayed The New Mutants is in the calling it generic and eye-rolling case of deja vu. Now, at this stage here in the UK, we've only seen the trailer, so we can't comment on the film, but we are looking forward to seeing the film, regardless of this first review coming in, John. I don't know if this... I will ask you in a moment if this has changed your mind on it, but I'll just read this little part that's coming in from Screen Rant. The New Mutants first review from THR calls it generic and eye-rolling. Jordan Mintzer began the review by writing, I nearly said another word there, if you've never seen a teen movie, a superhero movie and an asylum set psychological thriller, see your shoulders going, John, Nightmare on Elm Street, or a single episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, well, I've never seen that, so that's good. Then perhaps The New Mutants will be something of an eye-opening experience. After referring to the film as eye-rolling case of deja vu, Mintzer writes, generic and at its best straining to be heartfelt. Director Josh Boone's adaptation of the Marvel spin-off comic series is a Marvel movie spin-off in its own right, making vague references to the X-Men franchise but attempted to stand on its own. Unfortunately, it really does. Now, before I hand it over to you, John, with your thoughts on these comments, and obviously your sort of viewpoint on the film after reading this, I'm not going to blame Josh Boone for this. There has been a lot of rewrites and studio interference. Now, originally, this film was going to be kind of slightly attached to the previous X-Men sort of guys, you know, the cast that were in there, right up to that last one. So... we don't know, obviously, how much of there was references originally in this film, because there was talk about James McAvoy maybe making an appearance as Charles Xavier. Whether he does, I don't know. I doubt it very much. I think we would have heard about that by now. But obviously, that was the intent when this film was getting made originally. But there's been so many things like delays, not just with the coronavirus, but obviously reshoots. Disney taking over Fox as well had a big part to play in that. Now, you said something a few weeks ago, John. It's something you've maintained, and I think you still do, obviously, share that opinion, that Disney do not care for this film. They want to just get it out there as quickly as possible and close down that sort of period of X-Men films and just close it down. Because there was talk about, obviously, that I think back in 2018... of possibly doing a trilogy of films for this, but sadly that's not going to be the case.
It's not, Stephen, sadly, because obviously the Fox-Disney merger has just put the kibosh on that, essentially. I think that's firmly why this movie has been put out in the theatres first of all the Disney releases this year post-coronavirus. I think it's because they just don't care. It's a Fox title. They don't care about any of the Fox titles, really. You look at this whole nonsense surrounding Jojo Rabbit. The Disney executives were groaning uncomfortably in the screener of the movie. They didn't know how to promote it. It went under the Fox Searchlight banner. Now we've got this. This is the sort of first post-coronavirus legacy comic book movie. Obviously, we had Dark Phoenix, an absolute disaster of a movie. Yeah. Disney did not promote it at all. They didn't give a shit about it. No. And it's the same with this. They essentially have their hands tied. Josh Boone says a couple of weeks ago, this movie is contractually obliged to be released in theatres. It can't go straight to a streaming service or VOD rental. So they have to release it in the theatres. And that is why I believe it has been released in the theatres. I don't think if they had their choice, they would have put it in the theatres. I think it would have been buried on a HBO Max, and then at some point in 3 years or something, it would have come on to Disney Plus. And that's not to do down the actual standard of a movie. It's just they don't care. If it's not Kevin Feige related comic book movies, it doesn't matter to Disney. Now, this actual review, I mean, Dean, I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't really give a shit what the Hollywood Reporter is saying. I don't really give a shit what these critiques are saying about the movie. I base my opinion on a movie on what I see with my own eyeballs. I will go and watch it. I will form an opinion. These are the same critics who gushed, and I mean gushed, about The Last Jedi. They says it was the greatest movie ever made. It was the best since the original trilogy.
John, I actually
absolute dog shit of a movie.
I actually think this review is very generic because
It is.
he says, you know, if you're, you know, if
And
you've
it may
never,
be
if you've
crap.
never seen a teen movie now, I think predominantly the cast in this film are teenagers,
Yeah.
right?
Well, they're being
Portrayed,
portrayed as
a
teenagers.
superhero movie. Of course it is. It's mutants. It's connected to the X-Men sort of franchise. An asylum set psychological thriller. Clearly, from the trailer, that's what it is. Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a horror film, for crying out loud. Or a single episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's where your science fiction is coming in. Well, you know, you're not telling me anything I didn't know already. And I said this to you before we came on air, John. That's everything he's described there is not a negative, as far as I'm concerned. If it's done right, if they act well, and it's a good story, then all those ingredients he mentions as negatives actually could be positives, in my opinion, anyway.
And it may
That's the
just
kind
be.
of things that I took from the trailer. The Nightmare on Elm Street thing screamed out to me in that first trailer we saw.
Yeah, because you've also got the Anya Taylor-Joy character, I believe it is. She is having sort of night vision. She's having nightmarish flashback. They're all having flashbacks in this sort of asylum setting. You could maybe skew that to a Nightmare on Elm Street where it's nightmarish, they're dreaming.
Yeah.
Someone's invading their dreams. Could be the case. I didn't mind Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What was the other one? Angel,
yeah, it's a spin-off, yeah.
David Boreanaz, something Boreanaz or something.
What happened to him?
Yeah. And Sarah Michelle Gellar. I was actually a reasonable, consistent viewer of that TV show back in the day. It is what it is, man. It was sort of teenage, coming of age sort of vampire TV show, if I recall correctly. And you're right, Stephen, it's almost a lazy review in a sense, because he's just picking out all of these various different things within these sub-genres that this movie's touching upon and saying, oh, if you like this or if you've seen this, then don't go and watch this movie, because it's doing all of that. Stephen, as if no other movie in the history of cinema has touched upon or borrowed or plagiarised other sort of little concepts from TV shows. It's very hard, much like music these days,
John,
to do something different.
It's almost like they've jumped the gun, and I'm not saying this person has not done this or has done this, but it's like someone that's not seen the film is just reviewing it to be the first out
It's
there.
the very
That's what it's
first.
like. You know, we could have done that. We could have actually did that kind of a description of the film just based on what we know.
Stephen, that's not to say it isn't all of these things. It isn't generic. It isn't a sort of hollow experience.
No.
It could very well be an absolute pile of shit, this movie. It's Josh Boone. We spoke about him the other day with The Stand. He's not an experienced director, filmmaker. He's only got 3 or 4 projects prior to this. So he's still sort of cutting his teeth in the world of directing. So it wouldn't surprise me if it isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread. You've seen that the delay, it took forever after the merger for Disney to decide what they wanted to do with this movie in the first place. It's reasonable it isn't a great movie. It's a reasonable concept from this reviewer. Stephen, what do you make though about the whole reviewing shenanigans in general? Because this is a rare thing for a movie like this to have one review come out in the initial, just as it's coming out. I think it comes out in the States tomorrow, isn't it? It's Saturday over here,
So
the 29th.
I take it must
One
have been
movie.
some screening then.
Yeah, there must have been a screening, but I actually touched upon it yesterday. There's a whole array of reviewers not going to watch screeners of this movie because apparently Disney aren't giving a safe, socially distanced screening to the press. They are allowing that essentially it's a free-for-all. They can go in and sit wherever they want. There's no real social distancing or anything like that, and a lot of publications are refusing to go on the sort of grounds of safety. They are concerned that they may catch coronavirus or that they may pass it on to a family member, so they're not reviewing the movie. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that as well. Could this be a sort of a guy? Could this Mincer fella have an agenda? Maybe, that my fellow press are not getting to watch this movie because they're not giving us a sort of safe experience to do so. I'm just going to hammer them for it and say the movie's absolute dog shit. It's generic. To sort of stand and I don't know, solidarity with my fellow reviewers. I don't know.
It could be a personal thing, John. I don't know.
Do you believe Disney would do that as well? I mean, it's a strange thing, isn't it?
No,
Warner Brothers. Stephen, I watched Chris Stuckman today
Mm.
reviewing Tenet. He was one of 5 critiques or press in one sort of theatre screening of Tenet. Warner Brothers can do a socially distant screening for press and sort of associated publications or just YouTube personalities. Why can't Disney do it? I find that strange.
Because just for what we said earlier on, I don't think they care enough for this film, John.
It's possible,
I don't think that they're putting a lot of investment in this or thought into this. I'm not saying they're intentionally putting people's lives in danger, but you might be right. There could be a personal thing here,
Or maybe
between Hollywood
movie,
Reporter and Disney. I don't know.
Maybe the movie is so bad in Disney's minds that they're sort of deliberately not socially distancing the press release so that people don't go and review it, and it keeps it sort of under wraps, the quality of the movie for people going to watch.
Or they're trying to kill off the actual critics.
I don't know. Look, time will tell, man. When we actually finally get to watch a movie, whether it's a bit of a lemon or it's decent.
John,
the cast is great though, man.
Exactly.
So it really would surprise me.
We'll do our thing when we see it, as we always do with new films, until we're obviously cut short back in March. We'll watch it and then we'll do our own review, if people want to see it or not. But it's a shame, it's been such a tragic film from beginning to end, since its initial sort of announcement back in 2017. I can't believe it. When I was 41, when I was a young lad. I mean, it's just I still want to see it out of curiosity more than anything, John. I think the whole idea of the shock value is gone now with most people. I think that has to be taken into account. When that first trailer dropped with the New Mutants, it was something we'd never seen before from a sort of X-Men film, the horror element, and I think it took everyone by surprise, the sort of tone of it. That was another thing that they had to change, was actually, I think for the viewing rating, they had to cut a lot of scenes as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they reduced it to a PG-13. Yeah. Everyone anticipated it would be an R-rated movie just because of the horror elements. The source material, it was this demon bear.
It was just an assumption then.
Yeah, what's the other guy called? The other villain? Is it something like Prometheus or something like that anyway?
Something
I spoke about it. I can't believe I can't remember it now, but there's another big bad potential in here, but the sort of main conclusion was it would be following the Demon Bear saga, and to do that justice it would have to be R-rated. Boone came out though and says that look, we don't need an R rating. We can closely follow the confines of the genre with PG-13 and give a good movie anyway. Time will tell if that's the case.
This is when he got wind of the Disney takeover first.
But Stephen, another thing he says before we move on, he actually says that nothing changed in this movie prior to the release because they didn't have time, because of the merger, to do any pick-up shots, reshoots. They just had to go with what they had. So maybe that has affected the quality of the movie as well. The fact that he hasn't been able to sort of hone the vision he had for it. He's just shot the movie in the initial production, and that's what he's had to sort of keep it going essentially into its release. Even Denis Villeneuve has to do reshoots for the likes of Dune, so we can't be too harsh on Josh.
It does happen, John. And another person that's doing reshoots or actually putting films together again is Zack Snyder. It's Justice League Snyder Cut release date possibly leaked by DC. Now this has been an update from Screen Rant. Exact release date for director Zack Snyder's 4-part Justice League project for HBO Max may have been inadvertently leaked by DC. Now, I'm just going to get down to this bit here. While Snyder didn't say anything specific about his Justice League's release date during DC Fandom, it may have inadvertently been leaked on a DC Press Portal website. A title page reveals the project will roll out on September 5th, 2021.
Our friend is gone.
According to this user,
he's in love, everybody.
Star. Although when it will be available on planes is unknown, or trains like Thomas. This was actually a tweet, John, from @KingZarius, and he ponders a question: Is this the release date of the Snyder Cut? The DC Press site has this up, and as you can see from that graphic just to the right of the emblem, it says Zack Snyder's Justice League made for TV movies pay TV release made for TV premiere September 5th 2021, airline date not available. Airline date, is this a new thing? Is this is this what we're doing now?
Yeah, well,
we're
yeah.
announcing when they're going to be shown on aeroplanes now.
Yeah, there's plane companies over in the States release a lot of
Yeah.
fairly new movies and stuff. I've seen Mark Ellis.
We simply don't have that kind of
No.
class over here.
No,
We don't even get televisions on
No.
our aeroplanes. Lucky to get a
not
meal.
even our sort of luxury
Yeah.
airliners.
Listen,
give
we're
us-
just happy to get the engines.
we
But,
went back the way, Stephen.
yeah, definitely.
Like 20 years ago, I was watching movies on planes.
Yeah.
Not anymore. They
No.
were terrible though.
Well, I think everybody's got iPads now. I watched The Irishman on a 4.5-hour flight,
Yeah.
John, so it was actually quite
And if you
enjoyable.
recall correctly, Stephen, I think the last holiday we went on together, I watched For the Dark World. I don't know why I done that,
Yeah,
but I did. And I watched a couple of other good movies
that
on that
must have been
holiday
a long
too.
journey then.
Yeah,
But
it was terrible, man.
they
God awful.
claim this screenshot was taken from the official DC Press portal website that we used ourselves not as Screen Rant, during the DC fandom.
If
But
only.
when we checked hours after this tweet, this image did not match what was there. We reached out to Warner Brothers and HBO Max, who confirmed the date is not accurate. Now, either way, this doesn't mean that September 5th, 2021 is confirmed release date for Zack Snyder's Justice League. The date used is likely temporary one, since it doesn't seem like it was supposed to be uploaded to the site. Do you think this is just an error, a technical error, John?
Yeah.
Or do you think there's something in this?
No, and even if there is something in it, Stephen, they're not going to come out and admit, oh yes,
Yeah.
we flashed the release date up
Oh.
on Twitter. Exactly, sort of Homer Simpson. Yeah, we made a mistake, guys. They'll probably change it by a couple of days now just to cover their arses, essentially. See, and I don't care when this movie comes out. I'm really excited for it no matter what. I want to give Zack as much time as possible to hone his vision of this movie.
Yeah.
That trailer really surprised me, how much he's managed to add in. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised. He says himself there's about 4 hours worth of
That's why they've
footage.
got to split it into 4 parts here.
Is that what they're doing? Is it actually a 4-part?
It's a
I thought it was
4-parter, yeah.
I mean, you can't release a 4-hour movie, can you?
Well, I would watch it.
Yeah, well, I watched The
Certainly would.
Irishman and it flew
Yeah.
by. Yeah, I watched it to daft o'clock, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was enjoyable. I was one of those rare people who didn't think it was boring, because I actually enjoy good movies from absolute master minds like Martin Scorsese. But hey ho, that's another day for another conversation, Stephen. Man,
Yeah.
we'll go back to Zack Snyder. I just hope he gets as much time as is humanly possible to finish this movie, to put all of the gloss on it as is humanly possible, because we've seen what he's managed to accomplish already. How long's he been working on this? 3, 4, 5 months?
3 months, I think.
3
yeah.
months.
Yeah.
And look what he's managed to do with Darkseid and the reshaping of the Steppenwolf look, and just what he's managed to do, the recolouring of the Superman suit and stuff.
Yeah.
Give him another year, 6, 7 months or whatever it takes. How good is this going to look, man? And how much is he going to be able to add into it story-wise? Stephen, incidentally, we had a couple of comments there from after the snap.
Yeah.
He's talking about New Mutants. They couldn't do reshoots, even if they wanted to, because they don't look the same. They're older now. Yeah, I agree. Maisie
the
Williams has
de-aging.
grown about 5 inches.
They could do the de-aging thing they did in it, chapter 2, couldn't they?
Yeah.
But
Pitch.
nah,
Change their voices.
John, it's funny, the information we know now about the Snyder Cut compared to just a few months ago, when you and I were actually talking about, we didn't believe that they had enough footage, that there'd be a lot of sort of basic sort of rough footage, raw footage I think they call it, don't they,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be able to use, that they'd
Yeah,
have
nuts
to
and
include.
bolts.
But it doesn't look that way at all.
No.
You know, you've got 4 hours of material there. And for what we've seen, I know it was only a trailer. It was a very short trailer, John. About a minute and a half, 2 minutes, I can't remember. It was most of the stuff that we expected to see. All the sort of Justice League lineup and all that. The new look, obviously, Steppenwolf as well.
Character introduced.
Yeah.
What's her face?
Darkseid as well. And, you know, seeing him. It was all the things that we hoped we would see, which is great from a DC Warner Brothers point of view, because they're listening to people now.
Yeah.
They're listening to the fans, these execs, what
Take
they
their
want.
time.
You know, yeah, but they've got there. You know, and the beauty of this is that it can be repaired. You know, it can be repaired. I don't think we're going to go down the same route we did with the DCU previously, but they don't look like they're cutting ties completely either from it. You know,
No.
take it off in a different direction. It's already been confirmed, well, I think it has anyway, that the Batman, the Matt Reeves one, is nothing, you know, it's a separate thing altogether. So we talked about that. Matt Reeves is very protective of this version of the franchise, you know, and when we were talking about crossovers and stuff like that, which we both agreed wasn't going to
It
happen.
was
But
Johnny Smollett.
yeah, but listen,
a Catwoman crossover.
I've got the patience to wait for this, John, because it was something I never thought was going to happen. So if it's If it's in September 2021 or December 2021, I don't care. I will get to see this as long as I live long enough. I'll get to see this. I don't want a second bout of the coronavirus.
No.
I've heard a man has already got it twice, so it's possible.
6-month gap, Stephen, and he didn't even know he had it.
No, exactly.
He got tested at an airport. He had no symptoms.
No, just felt a bit sluggish.
I'll kick its arse again.
But it's great, and I think that's all it is, John. But it just goes to show the eagle eyes online, that see these things. But we're going to just move on to same kind of topic, John. We're still on the DC fandom.
Yes.
And this is to do with, obviously, the reaction of last weekend's event. Now, the DC fandom received 22 million views worldwide in 24 hours. The entirely virtual DC Fandom event received 22 million views in 24 hours. The event showed off upcoming movies, video games and other projects. We reacted to some, you may have noticed.
Love that logo, incidentally. I just can't get over how good it is.
It reminds me of Family Fortunes.
Beautiful.
For some reason. The entirely virtual DC Fandom event received 22 million views in 24 hours. First announced in June. The event took place on August 22nd. The free virtual experience allowed fans from all over the world to tune in for the latest announcements, trailers and interviews from the DC universe. Panels discussed DCEU movies, Arrowverse shows and even new video games. The event was also packed with celebrity guests and creators. Some of the most exciting parts included brand new trailers for the Snyder Cut of Justice League, which we just spoke about, and a first look at The Batman, which we reacted to. DC announced some very impressive stats about the successful event, which included a total of 22 million viewers around the world, with over 220 countries and territories tuning in. DC also announced that there was 150 million views of trailers released during the event, and the event dominated YouTube and Twitter trends both during and after the broadcast. Now,
we only get 20,000 views on that Batman trailer.
We got some of the crumbs, John, so I'm very happy with that. But just goes to show people love DC.
They do, Stephen, and it just goes to show that they are getting their shit together here.
Yeah.
And people are recognising it as well. Because they were the butt of the joke for the last 5, 6, 7 years after Justice League and Man of Steel I really enjoyed. Most people did, I believe. But Dawn of Justice and whatnot, they went downhill for a period. They lost direction.
John, they didn't do themselves any favours. I can't remember who it was, but I think it was when Justice League was getting promoted. I don't know if it was a director or a writer or something like that, an exec, said F the MCU. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
I don't know.
It did happen. I'll have
boy.
to maybe try and look that out, but you don't do that, because then people know that you've got one eye on the competition, if you like. I don't see them as competition. I think if you're a comic book fan, comic book movie fan as well, like you and I,
Love to do them.
We are the winners out of this.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're not when we see the Dark World, but horses for courses.
Stephen, I still had some good scenes in it though, I have to say. There was still some moments, flickers, but for the most part flickers in a sea of sewage shit. But Stephen, man, you're right. That was a ridiculous comment from the guy. I mean, we've seen it in sort of video games as well, and just all sort of facets of entertainment. If you have two sort of competitors pushing each other to go one step better each time, each iteration, be it a movie, a game or whatever, it sort of builds the overall standard. It boosts everything. If you only have one sort of front runner, if it's the MCU and the DCEU isn't stepping up to the plate, they'll stagnate, they'll become... Well, we've seen it in football as well, I'm not getting into that, but they start to stagnate.
John.
And it becomes an issue. You need to have competition, healthy competition.
Paul McCartney was a shit writer. John Lennon would have been a shit writer as well.
Yeah, you need exactly that. Stephen, music, you've nailed it there. You need to have competition, healthy sort of conflict, even within almost brotherly-like relationships like the Beatles. If you don't, it stagnates, it becomes poorer, everyone loses out of it. So I'm so happy to see that DC are finally getting back on track. They started it with Wonder Woman, let's be honest. And then Aquaman and Shazam, they've been consistently hitting the ball out the park. Joker as well, a great little standalone fare. This Matt Reeves Batman trilogy looks absolutely brilliant. And then you've got the likes of the Snyder Cut happening. You've got another Shazam coming out at some point. Black Adam with Dwayne Johnson, absolute box office gold.
Aquaman 2 is going to be dark.
Aquaman 2 is coming out. It's going to be dark. You may have a trench horror movie as well. You get Flashpoint with Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck coming back.
Yeah.
Very exciting. You could make a strong argument that DC have a better slate of upcoming movies than Marvel do.
I would say well known, John. I
Yeah.
think people expect, from the DC sort of characters, everything you just mentioned there, we all know and love. Whereas you have to be more hardcore, I believe, for the Phase 4 of the MCU to really be excited. I'm excited to see the likes of Shang-Chi, etc., John. I really am. But I don't really know enough about these characters to over the top excitement like I would for obviously the Flash film with the the crossover.
Steve,
and stuff
we ain't
like
even touched on Superman yet.
No,
Henry Cavill
no.
will come back as Superman. I'm
I
so
believe
confident
that, yeah.
of it. That's going to get announced, and that's going to be another feather in the cap. It could be J.J. Abrams stepping in to direct it. This guy is renowned for rejuvenating alien franchises.
Fandom was just too soon for any sort of.
Well, he was there.
Yeah,
We
but
were half right. Just not
Yeah.
a Superman movie.
Yeah.
He was filming parts of The Witcher, I believe. But he was there. Just speaking about Snyder Cut, though. He wasn't there. It was a pre-recorded sort of message,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But he was at the event. So we weren't completely wrong, but we did get it wrong. We says he'd be there for a secret panel announcing a Superman movie. I was wrong, sadly. But it will come. And it just looks like DC are finally getting back. They're sort of coming back at Marvel, and Marvel should be perhaps slightly worried. But as you say, I don't want to get down into that tribalistic. I prefer one side or the other. I just love comic book movies. I love these larger-than-life characters, the escapism it brings,
yeah,
the happiness it brings to so many different people from so many different walks of life. There's great representation in there. Everything ticks all the boxes. And if both sides of these sort of behemoth comic companies are hitting the ball out the park, everybody's a winner, baby. That's what's the word?
that's the truth.
That's
yeah.
the truth, and
Yeah.
it is true. So yeah, I'm excited, man. And look, that's before we even. I'm not even spoke about what the future could be for this event. Could we see DC Fandom being an annual event, a biannual event? Now, we spoke about it before. We pondered that question before the actual event.
Yeah.
If it is a success, and it is a success with these numbers, will DC now go down the sort of D23 Disney
Yeah,
route
I
of
think.
a biannual standalone event, showing all of their stuff? Every other year they go to Comic-Con,
Yeah.
and then every other year they do their own thing. I think they should.
Yeah, I think this virtual experience has actually worked in their favour, John, this year as well, because it's given the whole world, a taste of what they can do, what they can offer, and what to look forward to as well. If this was possibly an event, in a specific city with only so many going, they would have had a really good time at that.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But I think the fact that the whole world, anyone that's got access to the internet, has been able to watch this and enjoy it. I'm guessing most people did enjoy it. You will get your absolute trolls out there that'll just bash it, but I think it's been a good thing to have it virtual, because it now lets them know that people love DC, they love what they've got to offer, and they want more as well.
And they're getting great feedback as well from the trailers, which is it's going to boost them even more to go and do more and more things that the fans want. And you have to listen to your fan base, Stephen. Lucasfilm, Star Wars, they learnt the hard way.
Yeah.
You ignore your primary demographics.
They'll get it
you
right,
will
though,
fail.
John.
They will get it right by bringing in Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, completely gutting out Lucasfilm. That's when they'll get it right.
Yeah.
And I've got confidence they will. Bring George Lucas back as well as a creative head.
Yeah.
Overarching the stories. Man can't write dialogue for shit, but my God, he's got a great mind.
Yeah.
Steve, man, I'm delighted for DC. I'm delighted. And the final thing I would add, these events, I'd like to see this continue, as you did say, as a sort of online event instead of specific locations. I know San Diego Comic-Con, that will continue forevermore after the pandemic. But if they can do sort of like this or D23 online event, get the actual actors together, maybe with a small press crowd or something, just so you get that camaraderie, chemistry bouncing off of each other in person, not so much like the FaceTiming or whatever, Zoom calls.
Yeah.
Bring them together in a room, but have it online. I would love that, man. I would love that.
You can imagine the buzz in the room as well when it's actually
Yeah.
done for real. But we'll move on, John, to our next topic, second last one. John Carpenter can't wait for fans to see Halloween Kills. Well, why didn't you give us a proper trailer then? Someone actually mentioned this on our channel. I think it was the Batman trailer reaction, John, where they said, 25% of this film's only been shot and they've gave us a 2.5 minute trailer. Why couldn't Halloween do that? To be fair, you give a 2.5 minute trailer to any horror film, you're basically giving the story away. It's such a niche genre that you have to keep all the best parts back. You can do a really good trailer, a really good horror trailer in a very short space of time, but It was very brief, but that was before the delay, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That came out because that was obviously going to be the introduction, the sort of teaser trailer, if you like. But original.
They gave us a 20-second teaser.
It was the one and they were all in the back of the truck, wasn't it?
Yeah, the back of the truck going back from the end of the Halloween from 2017, 2018, whenever it was. That was enough, man.
Yeah.
Gave us the concept of what the story's going to be. He gets out from the fire brigade, they come and release him. And he's going to just
left off,
he's going to unleash absolute carnage on them.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you something, John, though. I like that image of Michael Myers' mask. It looks actually more terrifying than the mask that was in that 2018 film. But original original Halloween director John Carpenter expresses his excitement for fans to see the latest instalment in the beloved slasher franchise. In an interview with Fantasia International Film Festival, John Carpenter reveals that due to scoring the film, he has seen it and he seems to think it's great. It's a video uploaded on the festival's YouTube channel. Carpenter says it is the quintessential slasher film. When asked about what he can tell the interviewer in regards to the new instalment of the long-running franchise, the acclaimed filmmaker went on to discuss how impressed he truly was with the quality of the latest film. John Carpenter ends the Halloween Kills segment of his interview with Fantasia by saying, with a sinister calm, "I can't wait to have you see it."
It is a quintessential slasher film.
Yeah.
That excites me.
Yeah.
Because that's what the character is renowned for, Stephen. That is what this movie is renowned for. It's a slasher. It's almost the thing that... I wouldn't say it buffed slashers because I'm sure there was ones prior to that. But this is the sort of first thing I think of when I think of a slasher movie. Halloween, Michael Myers. So getting back to that, man, I mean, I say get back to it. The previous one done it as well. The little fat guy getting slashed to hell in the garden and whatnot. Yeah. That's just what he does. Christ, the first time we see him really unleash havoc on that sort of little town, the Halloween set, and he goes in and gets a knife and just immediately does in that old woman or whatever in the kitchen. And it's great. Stephen, we already spoke about this unfathomable body count we're going to have in this movie.
That's right,
it's like off the charts, perhaps the highest ever in a movie of this kind. I can't wait to see him just wreaking the absolute utter chaos out in everyone. And the fact we are getting the original sort of cast members back, or characters back, they're going to have their sort of group therapy
Tommy
session.
Doyle, etc. Yeah.
Group therapy session. Maybe he'll just come in and finish what he started.
I think
just leave... I don't know.
Again,
a small number
like
left.
The New Mutants, it's very unfortunate. It's more so for Halloween Kills because this is a franchise that traditionally is released at Halloween, funnily enough. And just because of the pandemic, they've had to put this film back a whole year because it's not going to be... the film's not going to be ready to be released this October. It's just too soon for it to have a cinematic run. And David Gordon Green is the director, isn't he?
Yeah.
They've made a decision, that they could have put this out a bit later, if things start to pick up.
Backlogs as well, isn't it? All these movies.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, I'll wait. This is another film I'll wait for. I don't mind having to wait another year for this film. I did like that little trailer. I did like it. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis... I can't remember what it was.
Let him burn!
Yeah, let him burn. That's what it was, yeah.
Reminded me of Amiga Man, Stephen.
Yeah.
Matthias. What shall we do with him? Burn him! That put me in mind of that. Obviously, yeah, I'm not good down that.
I bet that thought was going through those stormtroopers' heads when they were standing beside Palpatine down on Mustafar when he was reviving Anakin. Let him burn! We know what he's going to be like. He's going to be a boss bully. But... the shape, John. The shape. Just before we move on, it's again. I grew up in the Halloween franchise. My gran introduced me to Halloween when I was 6, and I was terrified. I couldn't sleep in her house after watching it. Halloween 2 as well. I think that was John Carpenter's last involvement as director. No, I think it might have been the third one actually. Season of the Witch. Nothing to do with Michael Myers. It was a strange decision, but it's just this is a franchise. I think I've seen them all up to. The last one, the 2018 one, I think H2O was the last one, and then there was one after it, which Resurrection or something like that, I didn't even bother with. And then there was the 2 Rob Zombie ones as well, which I didn't even get near.
Stephen, they've been doing that paranormal route and made him this sort of paranormal figure.
Yeah.
I prefer it when it's humanised, and it's almost more terrifying, like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Yeah.
When this is a figure that could actually be walking around among you.
Exactly, yeah.
Committing these atrocities and these acts, that's more unnerving than a paranormal thing, which is bullshit. It disconnects you right away because it doesn't exist, all that crap. I don't believe in ghosts, demons, any of that nonsense. It's all a load of shit. So when you ground it in reality, it's almost better for me. And that's why I love The Shining so much, even though there is paranormal things going on in that movie. Yeah. But it's not really the paranormal stuff I zone in on. It's Jack Torrance,
the paranormal stuff is actually in the background in The Shining, strangely enough.
Yeah, it is.
Working its magic.
I think that's why Stephen King was so unhappy, because it was front and centre in his novel.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick says, nope, I'm going to focus on the great Jack Nicholson. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and he wasn't a dull boy in that movie.
I think I know who I actually thought made the better decision on that film anyway.
I think Stephen was hitting the bottle at that point.
What was the Dr. Sleep? We got to see that element of it in
Very
that
cool,
film anyway, so we got to see both sides of it, so it worked out well for the fans,
Absolutely, Stephen. I'm really excited for this movie as well, just to see where it goes next. Are they going to try something different? I thought the first one slightly disappointing. It lingered on some of the similar plot points we've seen in previous movies, and you want them to take it off in a different direction. Hopefully they'll do that with this, with bringing back the original gang, and just how they're going to bounce off Jamie Lee Curtis and whatnot. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be... I keep saying it, I'd have preferred the paranormal, sort of psychological... Not paranormal. No. Psychological side of things, where he's in their heads. Did he get out of that basement? Did he not? They're all having a group therapy session. He's looking in the shadows, in their heads. Then he comes back in the end of the movie, sets up a great conclusion to the trilogy. That's how I would have done it. That's not how they're choosing to do it. I have faith in David Gordon Green to get it right. But time will tell. But it's... I keep saying it. Movies of their time.
Yeah.
It's very hard to recreate the magic of the original movie. So
I think with horror as well, it is very hard.
It's like Carrie. How many Carrie movies? Exorcist movies?
Yeah, I didn't mind the remake of Carrie, the Chloe Grace Moretz one. It was actually okay. But if you've seen the first one, it's kind of spoiler heavy, But we'll move on anyway, John, to our final topics. Wesley Snipes shares details about his Coming to America 2 character. I wish they'd stop calling it. It's Coming to America.
I know.
It's called.
I put it in the graphic. I'm doing it right.
Yeah,
get it right, guys. Come on.
Yeah, get it right. Get your act together. The actor who previously worked with Murphy and Brewer on Dolomite Is My Name hasn't said too much about his role up to this point, but now he's opening up about what we can expect from him in the Coming to America sequel. You must be a goddamn man. Anyway, I am the big brother of Vanessa Bell Calloway's Imani Izzy.
You didn't meet that man Luther the King.
Rock my Santa. Could go on. It's so quotable. We'll go into Randy Watson, John. I know you need to say your part in a little second, but I'll just finish off doing this quote before we go down that way we go. I am also the one that is making sure that everything in the whole region is under control. My name is General Izzy. We can make it hard or we can do it easy. It's up to you. The easy way. Wesley Snipes' recent comments to Entertainment Tonight should be excited for long-time fans in the original Come to America. Imani Izzy was to marry Akeem before the prince travelled to New York and found his true bride in Lisa McDowell. The siblings' father, Colonel Izzy, also appeared in the first film, in which he was played by the late Calvin Lockhart. Now, I remember the character. He was dressed up in military uniforms on the father of the bride. Do you know something? Just reading that actually reminds me of a Twitch streamer, Wee Claire, who we know, and she did a show with Lemmy, and it was one of these topics where they talk about what happens afterwards or what happens to side characters. This is like that in a way, where I remember these characters so well, but you don't actually think of what the sort of the ramifications of the first film and what happened to them afterwards. Well, we're going to get it in this film, John, and Wesley Snipes has obviously opened up on his part in this. I actually thought he was going to play the father, but he would be a good age now, I suppose. I would imagine he would probably be at the same age as King Jaffe Joffer. I
think he'd be pan-breed, as we like to say here.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah.
He's dead. And well dead. But look, man, I'm
good.
I'll get into Randy Watson shortly, Stephen. I am the big brother. I love her, Stephen. The Imani Izzy character, she was played as a joke in the movie.
Woof.
She was woof. Bark like a dog, on one leg. What do you like? Whatever you like. She was played as a joke, this sort of airhead, superficial bride that was there to just appease Akeem.
Yeah.
And so you're right, the ramifications of that are going to be shown in this movie, where what has happened afterwards, the breakdown of that marriage, him going off and marrying a bride in America.
Lisa McDowell.
Yeah, Lisa McDowell. So yeah, I actually forgot that name, Stephen. I always forget that name. There's so many standout characters in that movie. She, sadly for me, is not one of them.
It's a big part of it.
Yeah, she has a big part of it.
Plot, anyway.
I mean, Stephen, you've got Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy. Even they're playing 50 million roles. The 50th million role.
I just want to tear you apart. It's just big shitters.
I mean, Randy Watson's a mere cameo. For Eddie Murphy, it's probably the 5th role he's played in the movie up to that point, and he's so memorable. I can tell you word for word what the guy says, and I'll get into it in a moment, believe me. But first and foremost, I love this. I love that Wesley Snipes is playing this brother figure. I love the concept of this sort of dictatorial figure. He's controlling the region, and he's going to have that bad blood with King Jaffe Joffer and Akeem because of the breakdown of the marriage. What could have been, the families could have combined. It wasn't to happen. They broke down. Now there's going to be bad blood, but they do say the fact the common love of Zamunda may bring them back together. So you're getting a sense of where this story could be going. I believe the son of Akeem goes to the United States. There's maybe some security issues, and they have to work together. Maybe a mismatched buddy set up to sort of try and track him down and save the day. I love this, man. I'm just completely getting off and hypothesising what could be happening in this movie, but it sounds promising.
That's roughly what's going to happen, John, but it kind of begs the question, what is the relationship I'll even say, between Lisa and Akeem?
I think they're probably separated.
That's quite sad, actually, considering they had this happy ending.
Yeah, it's like Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Yeah, you know, you
Same
just
jacket.
assume that they're going to live happily ever after, but who knows? I don't know how they're going to play it. There was something else, John, here actually I'm going to just highlight, kind of going off in a different direction here, but it's still related to Come to America, and these are the 6 moments that need to happen in coming to America, and paying a tribute to Madge Sinclair, who obviously played Queen Ailion Joffer. She passed away sadly in 1995. I'm sure she did the voice of
the Queen in The Lion King.
The Lion King, and it was funny because the two of them played husband and wife, obviously, in Come to America as well.
6 degrees of
so
separation.
I'd like to see
Bacon.
some tribute to obviously that character as well. That's what they're saying here. McDowell's in real legal trouble. Guess who with?
McDonald's,
yeah. McDonald's, in small ways, from a legal standpoint, would he realistically have been able to stay in business for as long as he did? I doubt it very much.
No chance.
Akeem and Semi returned to the bars. Would you like to see that again? It might look a bit pathetic now.
Yeah, probably not.
Late 50s now, aren't they?
No.
And they might bump into that.
If they're going to try and find their son, and maybe it's a similarity with sort of poetic repetition, then perhaps.
I don't know how you feel about this one, John, but Sexual Chocolate performing an original song, not the greatest love of all, but an original song that Randy Watson has penned.
No.
I want to see him.
No, I don't think it's not that he's capable or not capable of doing it. It's just I want to see him absolutely destroy a classic song again. Was it Whitney Houston?
Yeah.
I'd never even heard the original song. I always used to associate that with him.
Better.
She did it slightly better. Yeah. He missed out huge parts of the chorus and verse and whatnot. He just completely trashed that movie. He turned it about the children being the future and into him being the future. Yeah. It all being about him. So no, I'd rather see him do a take on another classic, maybe Motown soul artist or something like that, and completely create a Frankenstein's monster version of it. Yeah, that'd be better. We're going to get Randy Watson, Stephen. Will the Reverend be back? I don't think so. He should be dead.
Well, this is the thing, John.
Unless he's really, really old.
Well, I'll talk about that in a little moment because the other 2 points are coming into
Jericho.
Basically what you're just hinting on there. But
if loving God is wrong, then I don't want to be right.
Someone makes a Wakanda reference. Is it too on the nose, John?
Yeah.
That's just a suggestion, obviously, but I don't really see what the relevance would be there. But it's not connected in any way, so I don't really. Two African nations doesn't.
I suppose. I mean, fictional African nation, but
another closing joke from Saul. This is obviously the old man in the barbershop, the one that wore the hat, Eddie Murphy, obviously in prosthetics, playing a white man. He did the joke about the soup and the missing spoon, as you know, at the very end. Do you think we'll get another closing joke from that character? Now, it's just what you're saying, actually. whether that happens through flashbacks or unexplained immortality is anyone's guess, because the guys were well in their, you know, they were portraying guys maybe in their late 60s at that point, 30 years ago, so they would be nearly 100 now. But
it's possible. Like the Reverend, they could come back very, very old. It's possible people live over 100. So if they can shoehorn it in a way that feels organic to the actual story, doesn't bring you out the movie too much. If anybody's going to get it right, it's going to be Eddie Murphy, Stephen. He's going to get the balance shift right. The guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
I watched his return to Saturday Night Live. There was some points didn't quite hit off, but the guy is still funny as hell. And he's a great actor as well. I'm looking forward to seeing him with Arsenio Hall again. The magic they're going to conjure
Brewer
up.
as well. You've got to mention Craig Brewer as well in this, John.
Yeah, but he was McDowell, wasn't he?
No, Craig Brewer's the director of this film.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know much about him, Stephen, to be honest with you. What has he directed before? Who played McDowell? You know his name, don't you?
It's John. Oh, that's a good. He's
in
Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2 because we watched it recently.
John
Amos, he's great. Is he going to be back? He is going to be back, isn't
he?
They're
all coming back, yeah.
He's got legal problems. It's just
I think the fat guy from McDowell's as well is coming back.
Oh, the little ginger, Jesse Plemons guy,
Yeah, he's coming back. So
maybe he's made manager after 8 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows? Stephen, I'm excited for it, man. I really am. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see Randy Watson. I've literally invested too much time in that character, in that song, getting the movements down, the hip shake, the shaking, the mic drop, sexual chocolate stamping the feet.
John,
love it so much.
After the snap was said, as a black woman, I failed my son. He's never seen the original Coming to America.
Oh no,
that needs to be sorted right away after the snap.
No,
you really need to get your son invested in this film. It's one of the all-time classics, as I'm sure you'll know.
Yeah.
Every time it's shown here in the UK,
has to be watched.
You go onto Twitter, it's trending like mad. Randy Watson's trending, Eddie Murphy's trending, Coming to America, and even the Big Mick is
Not
trending.
just that, Stephen, Samuel makes a cameo.
Yeah.
Freeze You Disease and the Rhinoceros Puzzle. He comes into it. It's one of the first times I've seen Samuel, so it's got everything, man. It's got great sort of fictionalised African patter. It's brilliant, man. That's just someone I met at the bathroom. There's so many good things. Solo. It's brilliant. I love this movie, man. One of my all-time favourite Eddie Murphy movies. One of my all-time favourite comedy movies. And it was pioneering, Stephen, because it was his first time we've seen that sort of multi-character performance thing as well. I mean, Eddie went off to do it many, many times to diminishing returns, some would say, but he really nailed it in this. The sort of barber sequence, brilliant. But look, man, I can't wait for it. I'm sure most people who were big fans of the original can't wait for it as well, even though it has a potential to be absolute dog shite, because it just has. Let's be honest. It's either going to be an amazing cult classic or it's going to be absolute pile of shit. Find it in a bargain basket.
We did the review for it, didn't we?
What's that?
We did a review for it.
We did, yes. We did indeed, yeah. And I showcased my love, I hope, for the movie. Yeah. I don't think I recited any singing of Randy Watson, and I shan't do it tonight either because I can't sing. I'm even worse than Randy. But look, guys, that's going to round up the show. What's your thoughts on the first New Mutants movie review? They're calling it generic, eye-rolling, case of deja vu. Do you agree with it? Have you seen the movie by the time you watch this? Perhaps you have. And maybe you can share whether it is generic, an eye-rolling case of deja vu. Do you agree with this? What's his name? Ridiculous name he's got. Mincer or something?
Yeah, Mincer.
Or do you disagree? Are you looking forward to Josh Boone tackling this movie? What is your thoughts on the Snyder Cut potentially having its release date revealed, I should say? Do you believe it will come out next year, late next year, September, I believe it was, can't recall exactly. What did you make about John Carpenter waxing lyrically about Halloween Kills, and finally Wesley Snipes speaking and revealing some information about his dictator role in the upcoming Coming to America? If you've got anything to say at all, any of the topics we spoke about down below, I should say, then you can comment. That's the word I'm looking for. Down below in the comments section, I says it 3 times there. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see us talking about movies again. And you may see us doing a movie review tomorrow. It's not been decided what we're reviewing, so it may not happen. But if you do, and we do a review, you'll see us then, guys. Bye-bye.